circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That prevents it from happening.
Right, which brings me to what I wanted to expound on. Joy was talking about we had financial goals. I think the challenge of many people is the goals that they set are high. It's aspirational, which are not necessarily a bad thing, right? But the challenge with goals that are high like that is you now put a pressure on yourselves to reach that. That maybe you might not ever reach at A, or it might entail things where you're now compromising. For example, as Joy was saying, nung nagsimula kami, when we started off, dual income was better, but because our season was, we had young kids, we wanted to make sure that we could influence them in a greater way. We decided to cut that income, even if it meant a simpler lifestyle, even if it meant a lot of simpler things, a lot of maybe even dreams that would get postponed. But because that was our season, we chose to do that. So that's why I said for OFW parents, that's one of the principles I think that is important for them to embrace. They have to ask themselves, what is their season in life? And I'm just a messenger here, okay?
Yes.
I know I cannot say this with authority because I'm not an OFW and I know there are many complexities and sacrifices that they already undergo. Having said that, the season of life is if you have young children and you're leaving them in the Philippines so that you might be able to provide more money for them, you might want to ask yourselves, are you pushing to make more money because your financial goals are aspirational? Or is there really a need? Gipit na gipit kayo. If you're really desperate, gipit na gipit, there's no other opportunity and you're doing this, my advice is make sure you have a deadline. And we talk about this even on the financial aspect now with our show. I think that the challenge is, if there is no deadline, I need to hit it by this date, you will keep going. You will keep going. And you will just ask, konti pa, 20 years na. Hindi mo na kilala yung anak mo. You know what I'm saying, right? And we've heard some stories like that because they don't put a cap. And as they put a cap, part of the challenge, we were on Tag 91.1 earlier, and they asked similar question. I talked about how the challenge is, even if you have a cap and you have a goal to achieve it by that date, you now need to be able to also adjust your lifestyle when you're here or wherever you are as an OFW, because the temptation to spend and buy is great. And I think many OFWs in the Middle East and Dubai have shared this. So,
really,
diba? So going back, the main principle I think that is important, very important for OFW parents, what season of life are you? And what sacrifices are you making or that you need to make? There may be some parents who are going to listen to your blog or vlog that will have to make a difficult decision and say, alam mo, mas mabuti pa, hindi na ako mag-OFW. My children need me in this season. We will scale down our lifestyle, scale down our financial goals dramatically, because why? Our children need us now. And then, as Joy was sharing, our life stages, it's amazing how when you honor certain principles, and I'm going to speak with a spiritual tone if that's okay, right?
Please.
As you honor certain principles, you will see God unlocking doors and opening things. Like for example for us, who would have thought that as a housewife, my wife's passion was to write. And even as she set up her blog, she said, I do not want any commercial. And I was thinking in my mind, samahan mo na commercial kasi you like the writing. Anyway, but she said, I want it to be a pure thing. I want to be able to just help parents. Long story short, as she's done that, the things that she has been able to get from people who just want her to talk about it or say it, even if it's not commercial, even as the provider of the family, I'll be honest, all of these things that we've been able to get as a result of that have been a great blessing. We never would have thought we would be able to get trips, stays, things, clothes for the kid, all of these things. And the principle is very simple. As Joy was sharing, she gave this season of her life to really taking care of the kids. And you will see that even as you scale down and tone down, God will bless, God will open doors that will blow you away in that way.
It may not always be the typical way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
sometimes our idea is it has to be like an 8 to 5 job, and that is the way to earn income.
Yes.
That seems the most predictable, and maybe gives us the greatest sense of security. But somehow, as Edric is saying, you make certain choices, like what your priorities are, and then somehow God supplies.
Yes.
Like what Edric is saying, I get all these projects, which I'm not really necessarily looking for.
She's not looking for at all, right?
Yeah, and then
Really?
they pay, but I am able to do it without compromising my role as a wife and a mom. But if we had done it the other way around, where I pushed to really work and build my career, these opportunities would not have happened, and then I would have been compromising my role.
Right.
But what I was going to add too was with the OFW families, I don't know what season they're in and what their struggles are.
Yes.
But maybe a lot of times they should revisit where is their money going, because a lot of times it's to education.
True.
You know, educating their kids, making sure their
Sending
kids
them to
go to good
schools.
schools.
Good
So they're
schools.
sending this money back, or sometimes they're supporting multiple families,
True.
because we have this culture where you feel like you're indebted to your family, so you have to send money back.
Yeah.
So you have to also assess, are the reasons why we're staying here working so hard, sacrificing our own role as parents, worth it, or are there creative ways to find solutions to the needs that we have? For example, with schooling, and this is why it's sort of, homeschooling is changing life for a lot of OFWs, because they're able to bring their children here.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay for an expensive international education that is in a brick and mortar school.
Or even an education there. in the
Yeah,
Philippines.
they can teach their kids here, and it's much more reasonable.
Yeah.
And then they also get to spend time with their kids, so it becomes a win-win. So you keep the family together, because that is a priority, and that is important. That's way more important than sacrificing them on the altar of money.
Yeah.
So that would be the most important one, I think.
Yeah.
Just to sum up that
Yeah.
answer to the
Right.
question is making sure that they assess their seasons of life and ask
Right.
themselves, what are they sacrificing? Because if you're going to choose more money or raising up my family, especially when they're young, I think it's a no-brainer, right? You don't want, kasi what's the worst case? Alam mo, anak, simple lang tayo, but at least nandito kami and we passed on the right values to you. Versus, alam mo, ang dami natin pera pero hindi kita kilala, drug addict ka, daming problema, right? There's all these problems and they made money. So which one would have the greater gain, right?
Mhm.
And I
that's
think-
why it's important to ask that tough question.
And I think if
Yeah.
any parent were to ask their child, what do you prefer?
Yeah.
That I send you gifts, that I send you money,
Mhm.
or that I'm with you? They will say
Yeah.
they want their parents with them.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's a matter of identifying